him. Let's see, Felicia. I think I want to make sure we Felicia had a question. Are you bringing any money to the table to buy these contracts? Kareem, what do you say to that?
No money. You're leveraging your end buyers, bringing that funds to closing. So you're not putting up no money for it. Now, only thing like in the contract, I have $100 in the EMD. Sometimes a buck at it, like, no, if I'm doing this deal, everything else cool. I need 1,000. I'm not gonna let $1,000 especially if I have it, kill the deal if I know I got a buyer lined up too.
EMD,
So
that's earnest money deposit.
correct.
Okay, so every contract does have to have what Aaron, you got to have some financial something in the contract to make it real. Okay, so and industry standard, what's industry standard, Don?
I know a lot of people put $10.
Right, but that's
so, but I would say,
but if it was on the MLS, what's the industry standard?
Oh, 1%.
1%.
1% of that sales price.
So that's industry standard. But to Kareem's point earlier, right? Because he's coming defending his position, but to Kareem's point, if you're going direct outbound to sellers who are not as savvy with the transactional norms, right? Then you can give them $10. You see what I'm saying? $10 executes this contract just fine. So you have to put some type of monetary consideration. But like I said, I've heard a lot of $10 and $100 a lot. I hear $100.
And I'll be real, like with my title, like I don't remember last time I put EMD down when I'm wholesaling because I require non-refundable deposit at least $2,000, $3,000 for my end buyer. So if that seller ever calls up title, there's already money in escrow. It's got to get closed out. It's not like that money's going to their pocket. Like that's let's
explain that. Let's break that down. I hope did everybody catch what he just said. So this is really crucial, right? For those who are like, I don't know how much money I got to put up, right? So he's saying, okay, in the contract, you have to put some earnest money to make this contract valid, right? He's saying, okay, I'm giving the seller $100. Okay, he's got his assignment to a end buyer. That buyer has to put up some earnest money too. Kareem is saying, hey, I'm requiring 1,000 to 2,000. So in theory, if it doesn't sell, Kareem, you make some dollars regardless.
Yes.
Y'all hear that? So he may not make his full 10, and the earnest monies goes towards the purchase of the price, right? But what we're saying is, let's say worst come to worst, right? So Kareem locks up this deal. He puts up $100, right? If he doesn't close, he loses $100. Not a ton of money, right? Industry standard is 1%. But Kareem's going direct to seller. He's going to a seller who don't quite understand industry standard. So he's putting $100 in there. That seller don't know no way. He don't know that's not a problem. He just doesn't know any better, right? On the opposite end, Kareem is fooling with a buyer who might have bought multiple properties before. So he understands industry standard is 1% or even 2% or even more in a wholesale deal. Now, anything could blow up this deal, right? Like there's a possibility that you don't close, right? So if Kareem's end buyer doesn't close, the seller is kind of screwed and messes up Kareem's relationship and all this other kind of mess, right? This is the bad part. But Kareem took $2,000 from the end buyer and only had to come up with 100. So worst come to worst, everything blows up. He still got money in his pocket. Because that's a non-refundable, and you said non-refundable, right? Said it.
Right, because I stopped marketing to other buyers. So if you weren't legit altogether, I wasted 30 days waiting to close, and you back out because you wanted to. Yeah, it's only right that I'm getting compensated for my time and the fact that I wasn't I was upholding my side of the deal where I didn't sell the deal from underneath you, right? Like, oh yeah, we'll do a deal and I'll just sell it. Like that's moving in bad faith. So if I upheld my side of the deal, if you decide to back out, then it's only right. This is business,
Kareem, if it doesn't sell, are you in order to keep the seller engaged in not just blowing you off like, man, he full of shit, like, do you give them a portion of the money to keep them on or keep them interested in the deal for like another 30 days so that you do get a buyer that
I don't really
eventually close?
That's a great question for sure. And don't get me wrong, like I've gotten that, hey, you're full of you're full of shit type of thing early on. So I was locking up deals too high. You know what I mean? I couldn't find a buyer, and I had those issues too. Now it's not as easy. Hey, I'll give you another $100. Just give me another 30 days. It doesn't really work that way, right? You really want to negotiate, build that rapport. And I'll come back to this. So I'm like, look, my financial partners, we inspected their property. Honestly, we were kind of overzealous when we first locked up the deal. Looking back, looking at what the market's doing and the rehab that's needed to be done, it is an uncomfortable conversation. But like that 25 we agreed to, for us to close out in a week from now, we honestly need that to be down to 15,000. It's uncomfortable, but I'm being honest with the seller. Right. So there's a reason why that property's not selling. I had to reduce that price.
So you're having the seller come down.
Yeah, because
If
there's
that's
a
the
reason why. Yeah. All my buyers went through the property and they're saying like, hey, it needs too much work. Here's my offer. Here's my offer. This is why I'm walking away. So I'm getting feedback.
The number
But
one
to
reason
keep
why
them, but to keep them there, that's what I'm asking. What are you doing to keep them there? Because they'll be like, look, according to the
They could walk.
contract. Say
Yeah,
it
they
again?
can walk. Yeah, they can
No, no,
walk if
no.
they want to.
No, I understand that, but the thing is that you don't want them to walk. So I'm saying, if the first one, if you have that earnest money, and are you enticing the seller like, hey, I need more time, and for these very valid reasons, they may be like, look,
That's
you're
what
full
you
of
mean.
shit, I'm good. Like, are you giving them something to keep them on board because you actually believe that the shit can sell?
For sure. Yeah, if I'm pretty confident that I can move it, it's just a time issue. There's been times like, yo, instead of I'll give you another 2,000. If I know my buyer just needs a little bit more time and I know I'm about to make 15 grand, I'll sacrifice 2 grand real quick of my assignment fee. Like, hey, seller, I'll give you another 2 grand. We just need another 2 weeks. I've done that maybe one time. But if all my buyers are walking out and they lowballing and things like that, I need to reduce that price and just being honest with them. Because there's a good chance they're gonna walk it. You know what I mean?
And
they're
that's
gonna walk away.
That's before the earnest money ever goes to title. Those are like two different scenarios he's explaining.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think this game is about pressure too, right? So it's a timing game. You got to have pressure on that end buyer, right? I'm sure you apply a lot of pressure on your end buyers, right? And that I think that's probably one of the reasons why you might have a dispo do a lot of JV dispos, because whoever's JVing with you on the dispo side, they're probably really good about pressure and buyers, right? And when I say pressure and buyers, hey, do you know what a buyer needs to do to close? Hey, Mr. Buyer, like such and such, do you actually have a lender? Like, and is he a good lender? Who is your lender? Blah, 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 right? Like that's
so important.
That's a big thing, right? Like, hey, who's your lender? Yeah, I don't know about that lender, but hey, here's my guy, right? Use this guy because I know they can close. Use this title company because I know they can close, right? A good wholesaler is going to really dictate the title company. And frankly, depending upon the situation, really dictate the lending situation, right? Don't be coming to this deal. This ain't the deal for your Fannie Mae product, right? Like this is not an FHA loan. This is not a conventional loan, right? Who is your host? Like who is your hard money lender, and does that hard money lender actually close in the marketplace a lot? You see what I'm saying? So those are some of the more nuances, right? And as far as, let's say again, I think, I don't know, Kareem, what's the average are you locking up your contracts for on the seller side? What do you find reasonable that your sellers are accepting? I know you're trying to get the longest days possible, but what do you, on average, what do you feel like you're putting your contracts at?
For like a single family, and again, this is Toledo, Ohio, so super low price, like 15 grand for a single. And that gets you like something that need like 30K, 35K of work.
No, I'm saying time wise.
No, he's talking about time.
Oh, you said time. I think you said my price points. No, yeah, 30 days. I tell them 30 days or less.
Okay, so 30 days or less. So Aaron, so he knows up front 30 days and less. So he knows he can only be marketing the buyers that he knows it can close in 30 days or less, right? So, hey, hopefully, I don't know if it's him or it's dispo people, but somebody at some point is qualifying this buyer, right? Like qualifying that buyer, right? Like, so again, I'm gonna use you as a guinea pig because you asked the question, right? You have the type of network where you should have qualified buyers in your network, right? Like I know the type of people you have around you. We move in similar circles. You got different circles than me, but if you were running this play, I mean, you shouldn't even need to be on Facebook Marketplace. Not really. You probably got a bunch of buyers in your phone. that are like, are qualified. So that's part of it too, right? Is making sure that your buyers are qualified, meaning they got the money, they ain't dicking around, all that kind of stuff, because that's really the waste, right, Kareem? Like, is somebody really,
That's a great point. Yeah. No, it's so important to qualify, right? Like, I don't care who I'm doing business with. Like, I need some sort of proof of funds, right? And like you said, are you doing cash? Some of these houses are so cheap, they're just cashing out on them. Are you doing lending? Who's your lender? How soon can they close? But in my market, I prefer cash, right? Of course, they do lending, that they're going to need that 30-day period. But I'm completely upfront, like, hey, this has to close in 2.5 weeks. I give them a date. Like, it has to close within this time. I put it in that contract too. Like, you're putting up $3K non-refundable. You have to close by this date, or anything past that, you're forfeiting that deposit. So they already feel that pressure, and they knew that coming into it. So I'm completely transparent up front and onto the deal. If they're coming in cash and I ask them, hey, how soon can you close? They say ASAP. They say, cool. Like today, what's today, Thursday? I locked up a deal Monday. I locked up the buyer Monday for the deal, and we closed out today. He was coming in with cash. That's it. Like, what? Like, why? Like, why are we waiting 2 or 3 weeks? If
And
you're
that's
cash
key.
ready, let's just close out. Title's already clean. Boom.
That's
I have
5 days. You got 5 days. He got money in his pocket.
I have a follow-up to that, and I know I don't want to like dominate the conversation,
No,
but
you
and
good.
I know we have to get off probably soon, but are you, when you like have the seller, are you, and I know this maybe may sound unethical, but like, are you telling them, hey, this is going to someone else, or are you like, hey, I'm buying this from you, and then you're doing the wheeling and dealing on the back end?
That's a great question. That's a great question. Yeah, when I first started, I was kind of like wheeling and dealing. I was kind of pump faking as a buyer. I would just tell them it's my financial partners. But at the end of the day, they are like, they're out of state. I'm really representing on their behalf in a way. I'm not a real estate agent, but as long as we agree on this price between me and the seller, I'm like, look, as long as we agree on that 55K, we'll close in 30 days. Anything outside of that is cool. And
You're
another
telling that
step
to
with
the
it.
seller?
I'm telling that to the seller, right? So I was kind of pump faking as a buyer, and then I have financial partners. To this day, right now, what I'm doing, because I'm actually buying for myself, I'll tell them, like, I'm just completely honest and off rip with both my sellers and my buyers completely, of course. I'll tell them, hey, first and foremost, I'm looking to buy this property for myself. For any reason that does not work out, I have a network of buyers I work with, and I'll just assign it to them. Again, that 55K price does not change at all. I'll either be making an assignment fee or I'll be buying it myself.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
what matters to you is we're closing in 30 days or less at that price.
Okay.
And Aaron, that's gonna dictate. You're probably gonna, like, again, yeah, I'm jumping in because again, I know you're from whatever. But think of it like this: if you got a network, you know a lot of people around Third Ward. Let's say you met somebody who's selling a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet house in Third Ward for 75, right? You can move that, right? That's a hell of a price, right?
I'm buying it, first of all.
Yeah, you buying it, right? But it's the same rules.
You're already an investor, yep.
Right? It's the same rules, right?
So wholesale is just an exit strategy,
It's just
whatever you want to decide.
It's just an exit strategy, right?
Gotcha.
So
okay.
So me and you are like, I'm buying that and keeping that for myself. But you can also say, you know what? I think I could turn around and sell it for 125 and make 50 right now.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right? Like it, and then in that scenario, right? That same house, could you turn around and sell that for 125 in 2 days in Third Ward? You could, right? Like, so it's the same concept, right? And again, that's what, when you text me earlier, I said, hey, some people may want to make 10 and 20. And he was like, may. And I was like, yeah, I mean, there's scenarios where you may not want to take that money, right? Because you might want to keep it because you know enough about the market to say, ooh, I'm keeping this, right? So
real quick to chime in too, something to look out for with your title company, right? My title company, they do something they call a blind seller HUD. It's just pretty much special saying, like, that seller, that 55K we agreed on, they're gonna see that at closing day. Whatever Kareem makes, that's on a whole separate HUD that they never get to see. Because I'm telling you, that could kill a deal. Like, if you've been negotiating them down and they just see you made 20K on it, you negotiated them down, they be like, oh, I'm not signing. And they might just ghost you. So make sure you do a blind seller HUD. If the title company doesn't do that, then I recommend finding another one for sure.
Yeah.
You ask those questions. You ask all those questions to your title company before
before
you
yeah.
ever send a contract to them.
Yep.
Okay.
Like blind one, do y'all do wholesale deals? No, we don't do that, blah blah. Okay, next guy, right? So how many wholesale deals are you doing on the regular, right? And here's a good one, right? If you ain't got a title company, it's a real easy one. Call around who's doing wholesale deals and who are they using, period.
Yep.
That's easy, right? Like go to the meetups. Okay, if the title company is at the investor meetup, probably an investor friendly title company. you know what I'm saying? So, and again, ask them what they offering, right? Like again, the blind HUD thing is really, really big, right? Like you really probably, especially on your first couple deals, you probably want to go that route, right? Especially just communication.
I told you my first one, they had me sign off for both the seller and the buyer.
That's wild to me. That's wild.
I want for that contract. I'm gonna change title companies.
Yeah. So, and you know, there's times where I can tell you, you know, my first multifamily was a wholesale deal, and my bank made us put it all in the contract. My bank was like, I ain't dealing with this assignment shit. He was adamant about it. He was like, yeah, I get this mess all the time. I ain't dealing with this mess. Like this ain't, because again, some lenders, there's a lot of lending rules that came about post 2008 that really doesn't like wholesaling, right? Or the concepts, right? FHA financing, right? They really hate, you know, essentially you can't buy an FHA loan, cannot buy a wholesale deal within 3 months, like essentially, like they can. That's a 3-month seasoning. That's what seasoning is all about, right? Is, you know, people don't like wholesaling because they feel like if a property is selling for something, that's what it's worth, right? That's kind of one-on-one. But point is that, look, use your resources, guys. You know, if you're in the church all day long, right? Somebody in the church trying to sell their property, right? Like, you don't have to do this game. You can make this game however you want to make it. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure, Kareem, you're doing some things differently than how you was originally taught.
Oh yeah,
you know. So and you make it for what's worked, but you also make it for what works for you.
Yep.
You know, like that's key. You want to make it for works for you. You know, and what kind of skills and resources and connections you got, and figuring out those connections. That's big.
I got a portfolio deal that I closed out. It was just like I picked one for myself and sold a few off, just by like people knowing what I do in my market. And like it's the easiest it's a small portfolio, the easiest 4 deals I ever got versus me when I first started. Nobody knows who I am. I'm banging out those calls, getting a bunch of no's. Now I got people, like you said, just sending deals to me here, this market, that market. Just showing people that you really do this, man. It goes a long way.
And even if, like I say, even if you don't do a ton of deals, or if you're still new, do you have a network of people that think you're legitimate at something? That's something I've learned since, you know, getting public with my social media, right? Like, people know me, right? And, you know, the people that know me kind of know that, like, you know, Aaron, I talk the same way I talked 20 years ago, right? Like, I've been the same.
Pretty much.
Right. Now, you can call me a whole lot of things, but you can't call me a liar, right? And most people know that about me. You know, they can call me a whole lot of, he a jerk, he an asshole, he can call, you know, I've been called all of that. But what you can't call me is a liar, you know, and that's part of my legitimacy. That's been with me my whole life. Like, nobody will ever call me a liar about anything, you know, and that's part of I know one thing about OJ, he's gonna tell it like it is, you know, so, and I can use that as a resource, right? So, you know, typically, like, if I am calling somebody about a deal, like, and you know, we do a lot of Kareem mentioned reverse wholesaling. That's pretty much what Laquita does. I mean, that's what we do, right? We go shopping for people for the most part, and you know, and it might take us a while to shop for them, but when I call, they know oh, he got something here, you know. So you can use this however you want to use it, but I do think it's important for people to know how to get good deals and not wait around for real. And again, not crapping on realtors, but most realtors are not in the game of getting deals for people. That's not what they do. They're in the game of getting the highest commission possible, and that's actually driving up the price. right? Because hence I told you earlier, like I have to oftentimes help or educate a realtor how they can make more money with me versus just their normal way of making more money, right? That's we got some other classes for that kind of stuff or whatever. I ain't gonna go hard on that, but
my actionable step though, anybody that's new, man, Zillow for sale by owner, like don't sleep on it. You know,
there
I'm
you
still
go.
locking up deals off of the
Well,
freeway.
I think we saw a couple deals a day with it.
Look, that Detroit, I'm calling right in the morning.
Yeah,
That's the deal.
I'm sure we saw a couple deals today. Just
You know.
like you, I hope if y'all ain't caught nothing, you got that game right there. Y'all all can do that today,
Lock
right?
up a deal tomorrow. Any part of the country, they out there. Just don't do it in like farmlands that doesn't make sense. Like make sure it's an active market, people are buying and selling. You know, that's my advice.
Yeah, and Michelle, if you're and Aaron, I mean, you know, if you are in markets that are, you know, higher priced that doesn't make as much sense, hone in on a market, right? Like, so Kareem, you live where again?
I'm in South
South
Jersey
Jersey?
by Philly. You know,
And you primarily Toledo, Ohio, right?
yeah, that's my main market.
How far away is that? 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours?
Nah, driving?
Yeah.
Way more.
Like, yeah, it's
I
like
don't know.
8 to 10.
Yeah, I know I'm a Southern boy.
Especially Detroit.
It's a couple. Yeah, it's a couple states over.
But
Yeah,
you
it's
hear
like
the
8 to
point though,
10.
right, guys? Like
Yeah.
he's investing in a specific area, and I think that's the piece where you are a virtual wholesaler, but I'm gonna push back and say you are a marketplace expert as well.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that's my point, right? Become a marketplace expert somewhere, right? So you could probably have a robust conversation around Toledo, Ohio without pulling up a website, right? So if I threw a price out to you around a certain some zip codes that you probably sold, you probably know if it's a deal or not pretty quickly, right?
Yeah, you know, it's to the point that I'm using my other sold properties as new comps. I'm like, look at that! I just increased the value of this neighborhood. And
Yeah, and
it's amazing.
that's something that I know me and Don have done a lot of times, right? We like to dictate our own comps, right? You know, anytime I rent out a unit, we'll list it on the MLS just to close out the listing to up my own comps, right? Which actually ups my own value. That's we'll teach that next time at the multifamily class, how to raise your own value.
Something beautiful with that too. Like I said, I do some seller finance deals. So even though I require like $5K down for the buyer, I sold that piece of real estate for like 55 as is condition. So now it's a comp for 55 as is, and I lock something up for 15, one door down or on the same block. So it's amazing, man, for sure.
Yeah. So
quick question. This is Felicia. So in being a part of this group, is there the opportunity to work with someone to like do one of these contract deals to really see how it works from start to finish?
year one, I said no. Year there. So look, let me just hold on. I'm gonna shut this off right quick. Give me a second. Let me shut this off.